Starting from 2007 and going all the way up to the present, I present to you Chapter 1, Humble Beginnings. So let me set the stage for you. The year is 2007. Roblox is still an insanely tiny company and no one really knows about it. Well, this is where our story begins. In around June of 2007, the first ever trace of the roleplay genre was created by none other than David Baszucki. Now admittedly, the happy home of Robloxia wasn't actually an official game, but rather a basic template that users on Roblox could use, kind of like the default place that everyone gets today. Now despite this, it is still worth mentioning, as this template alone will go on to inspire many early roleplay games. Chapter 2, Early Beginnings. This is about the time when the roleplay genre on Roblox officially started. Starting from 2008, specific games started to come out that were solely made for people to roleplay in. Games such as Robloxaville and Medieval Roleplay were starting to get some attraction. Robloxaville was a pretty standard roleplay game, which included pretty basic stuff, such as houses and schools. While Medieval Roleplay was a game where players would choose a class from peasant all the way up to king, and then simply roleplay as their character. While in today's standards, these games might seem basic and boring, you have to know that in 2008, Roblox was still just a tiny starter, and many things that we have access to today weren't anywhere near possible. In 2008 terms, these games were the best of the best. Eventually, however, as Roblox improved their technology, so did roleplay games. Chapter 3, Fast Growings. Now we reach the year 2009. The Roblox website looks something like this, and the roleplay genre is starting to pick up some attention. This was around the time that one very important roleplay game was released. A game that would stand the test of time and ultimately evolve into one of Roblox's most iconic and well-known games. Robloxian High School was a roleplay game released by Cinderling in April of 2009, and it still stands to this day as one of the most successful roleplay games of all time. The concept of the game was simple. You roleplay in a high school. But while the concept was simple, the game itself definitely wasn't. The game had so much content, ranging from different subjects such as gym class, art class, and music class, and even had houses and vehicles for players to buy. This game alone completely changed the roleplay genre, and at the time, this game was bounds ahead from competition. Robloxian High School has influenced countless other games, and there's no denying its impact on the platform. And now, we get to the release of the most crucial and important roleplay game that was ever released. Welcome to the Town of Robloxia phase. Welcome to the Town of Robloxia was a game released by OneDev2 in January of 2010, and the game is definitely up there as one of Roblox's all-time best games. This game had the greatest impact on the roleplay genre out of any other game, and its release fully revolutionized how roleplay games were made. The concept of this game was similar to the Sims franchise, and players would basically find a job, buy a house, and roleplay with other players. What made this game stand out, however, was the amount of activities it had. I mean, this game had so many locations, ranging from shops, to news agencies, to schools, fire stations, factories, police stations, airfields, and much more. This kept the game alive and prevented it from getting boring. This game basically did everything that RHS had previously established in the last year and improved it tenfold. In fact, at one point on Roblox, this game was the most played game ever, getting over 36 million visits. This game is definitely the most iconic roleplay game ever, and it set the standard of what roleplay games had to be like from this point onwards. Chapter 5. Welcome to Robloxia's impact is shown. The year is now 2012. Roblox has gotten decently big and has gathered more than 30 million total accounts. We now enter the Welcome to Robloxia aftermath. This is a phase where we see an increase in the amount of roleplay games similar to Welcome to Robloxia. A lot of games in this time period tried to capitalize on the success of WTR, and as a result, many roleplay games were released. Some of which were good, and some of which were bad. Some of the good games included The Complex by Spyro372, which was the second most played game in the roleplay genre after WTR. The Neighborhood by Q_Q, which was basically expanding on everything WTR had made, and Lakeside by PlayRobot, which was a hybrid of these two. One thing that these games all have in common is that they were heavily inspired by Welcome to Robloxia. In fact, many of these games had the exact same concept and just outright copied it. You could definitely view this era as one with a lack of creativity and lack of something unique. And the games created in this time period followed a very similar structure, and really no one had tried anything new. Yet. Chapter 6. Massive change. Now we jump forward to the year 2014. At around this point, the roleplay genre had definitely been slowing down. The genre itself was still one of the biggest on Roblox, but the games have definitely been getting very repetitive, and no impactful or influential games have been released. That would however change with the release of one game. Welcome to Bloxburg was a game created by KonekoKitten and released on November of 2014. Now, like most of the other games we've talked about, Bloxburg was a simple role-playing game where players could get a job, earn money, buy vehicles, and etc. Now, while this game might seem pretty basic, there was one thing that made this game stand out from the competition. You see, up until around this point, every single roleplay game had houses that players could buy, but no game ever had the option to build your own house. The house builder feature on Bloxburg added a whole new dimension to the game. All of a sudden, players now had the option to create and design their whole house from scratch, as well as customize it with furniture and decorate it. I mean, the game had pools, computers, instruments, exercise equipment, and much more. This kept the game not boring and added a purpose for players to grind, as they could now buy items like these for them to use in-game. This game was also one of the first games to introduce a mood, energy, and hunger bar, allowing other things into the game, such as food restaurants, dance clubs, Ferris wheels, and etc. Additionally, the quality of this game was exceptional, and it was really well designed. This catapulted the game to over 5 billion visits, despite it costing Robux. Even to this day, many roleplay games still don't have the option to build your own house. This game was definitely a very influential and important game in the evolution of the roleplay genre. Chapter 7. Golden Age. Now we jump to about early 2015 and the prime of the roleplay genre on Roblox. At about this time period, the roleplay genre has grown to the biggest genre on Roblox, and there's been a massive increase in the amount of YouTubers making videos on them.
Yeah, that only got
Roleplay trolling videos were getting uploaded to the platform consistently, and they were managing to gather millions and millions of views. Some notable games in this time period include Adopt and Raise a Cute Baby by Trinity, Hospital Roleplay, and Paradise Life. Now, while all of these games were pretty basic and generic, the one that probably deserves the most mentioning is Adopt and Raise a Cute Baby. I'm sure if you've been around Roblox for a while, you will recognize this map. Adopt and Raise a Cute Baby was a game released by Trinity in late 2014. The game was an instant hit, and its popularity was only boosted by the many YouTubers making videos there. This allowed the game to gather over 300 million visits before it was unfortunately stolen and re-uploaded thousands of times on the platform. Because of this, nowadays, it's very difficult to find the original game as the creator was banned and there's just so many copies of it. An unfortunate end for a very iconic and classic game. Chapter 8, An Issue Arises. Now up until around this point, the roleplay genre had been relatively drama-free. Growth has been consistent, games were attracting thousands of players, and the whole roleplay genre itself was doing pretty well. This would however change on July of 2015 with the release of a game that would tank down the entire roleplay genre and completely ruin its reputation. Boys and Girls Hangout was a game released by Dem Skittles Doe. The game contained many standard roleplay things, such as cinemas, restaurants, houses, and etc. Now on the surface, the game might seem like a completely innocent and normal roleplay game, but that unfortunately wasn't the case. While the actual content in the game wasn't bad, the fanbase and the community was. You see, throughout 2015, this game became pretty infamous for one thing: online dating. Boys and Girls Hangout was pretty well known for the amount of online daters doing 18 plus stuff in it. The game had pretty much transformed into an online data hub, and as a result, it gave the impression that all role players were online daters. In fact, many of the actions done in this game weren't just not allowed on Roblox, but were in fact illegal. This severely impacted the roleplay genre on Roblox, and many players in the community began to see roleplay games as problematic and useless, tanking down the genre's reputation even more. Ultimately, however, Roblox did take down Boys and Girls Hangout, and the roleplay genre was able to slowly recover from the negative look that it had been given. Chapter 9, Fresh Start. Now we jump to April of 2017. It's been about a year and a half since the release of Boys and Girls Hangout, and by this time, the roleplay genre has pretty much recovered from its negative look and returned to its previous state. Now, it was time for another massive roleplay game to get released. Released by Call Me Bob, Royale High is a school-themed roleplay game based on the original Robloxian high school from way back in 2009. While the game might seem like any other normal school-based roleplay game, there was, however, one major difference. You see, the game also took inspiration from the Harry Potter franchise, in the sense that players roleplay in a magical school setting, similar to Hogwarts, where magic, spells, and etc. exist. This whole magic feature in the game allowed it to stand out from the rest of the competition, and catapulted the game to over 8 billion visits. While this game wasn't as influential as some of the other games we've talked about, it is still worth noting, as it is insanely popular. To this day, it remains on Roblox as one of the most popular roleplay games on the entire platform, and it is only beaten by 2 other experiences, which we'll talk about now. And with that, we enter into the modern era of roleplay games. The roleplay genre has managed to grow faster than it ever has before, and many games are managing to get hundreds and thousands of concurrent players. In 2023, there are mostly 2 games that absolutely dominate the roleplay genre. Adopt Me by KreekCraft and BrookHaven by Wolfpack. I'm sure that everyone knows what these 2 games are. These games aren't just the most popular roleplay games, they're the most popular game in general. Adopt Me is a simple role-playing game, but why it stands out is in its pets. You see, a massive part of Adopt Me is the pet side of it. In-game, players are able to buy pets, look after them, decorate them, and much more. This whole pet feature allows players to do something else aside from roleplay and keeps the game alive and not boring. BrookHaven, on the other hand, can be summarized as basically Bloxburg Part 2. The main reason this game saw much more success than Bloxburg, however, is mainly thanks to the reason that BrookHaven is free and Bloxburg costs Robux. This allowed many free-to-play players to enter this game and is most likely the reason why it has so many more players than Bloxburg. Chapter 11, Summary. In summary, the roleplay genre on Roblox is a genre filled with an insanely interesting and intriguing past, which spans back over 10 years. The genre is ever changing and evolving, and we can only speculate what the future will have in store for it.